help spread this video to everybody you know, so it can spread her name, spread her message, and then bring her into your homes. Ask for her intercession. She's an untapped power source. Saint Veronica Giuliani, she's performing miracles in Lebanon. They're just amazing. If you just ask her, she's so willing to help. Hi, thanks for taking the time to watch this video. It's a short video. I want to share with you a story, a true story that's happening in Lebanon. And I say happening because the story is not complete. We're actually in the middle of the story, but I still want to share it with you and bring you up to speed on how this story began and where we are today. It starts with this one man. His name is Brother Emmanuel. He's a Lebanese monk, a hermit monk in Lebanon. And I was just recently in Lebanon this past summer. And on my first day, on my second day there, I met Brother Emmanuel. And like I said, he's a hermit monk. And he lived in Italy, actually, for about 8 years, living as a hermit in Italy with the monks over there. One day he was visiting a church. It was actually a monastery in Italy. And this church was dedicated to the Saint Veronica Giuliani. She's an Italian saint, and he had never heard of this saint before, and I had never heard of this saint before, Saint Veronica Giuliani. And so he starts, who is the saint? And he starts, kind of looking into the saint and this church, and he realizes this is the only church in the whole world dedicated to this saint. And so as he starts looking into the saint and who she is and the life she lived, he is astounded. He's shocked that more people don't know of her. And not only had he not heard of her, and I hadn't heard of her, and most people in Italy, he realized, except for the town where that church was, had never really heard of her either. She was almost a kind of a forgotten saint. So as he looked more and more into her life and the life she lived and the suffering she suffered, he was amazed that she wasn't more well known. And she was a saint who also had the stigmata, kind of like Padre Pio, where she had the wounds of Christ in her hands and her feet, crown of thorns, and so on. And actually Padre Pio really admired this saint. She was one of his favorite saints. So as he looked more and more into the saint, he fell more and more in love with her story and her life and the way she lived. And so one Sunday, he was at Mass, and it was her feast day, Saint Veronica Giuliani's feast day. And the priest giving the sermon, speaking to the congregation, the Italian congregation, said to them, if you're not going to realize the importance of this saint, she's gonna go somewhere else, go to another country and rise from there. And Brother Emmanuel and his brother monks that were with him heard this, and just a fire was burning in their heart for this mission. They decided, we are going to build a church for her in Lebanon. And they set out on this mission and came back to Lebanon and started the groundwork to build this church in her honor. And so they went searching for land and trying to find land to do this. And in the meantime, he's building these people around him, lay people and clergy that are going to help him with this mission. And he's finding architects and engineers and all this stuff. And the people are like, you're getting these architects, you're getting these engineers, and you're making this big plan, but you don't even have a piece of land. Where are we going to get the piece of land? And he's like, the land will come. We'll find the land. It's going to come. I don't know where, I don't know how, but this land is going to come. And they search and they search. And they start a 9-day novena, prayers to help find this land. And obviously it's not a very easy task, and we're talking, years into trying to finding this land and making this church happen. So now stop there and then rewind, let's just say, back to when he was still in Italy. And while he's in Italy, back in Lebanon, there's a girl, 21 years of age, whose name is Maria. And she had a beautiful voice, and in all these church choirs and things like that. And she got stricken with cancer in the throat. And well, I'm going to let Brother Emmanuel.
اللي هو أول كنيسة لقديسة فيرونيكا وعلى اسمها بالعالم كله برات إيطاليا. كمان فينا نقول إنه تنقيته إجا بأعجوبة سماوية. نحن من بعد ما أسسنا جمعية أصدقاء قديسة فيرونيكا بلبنان وبلشنا الصلوات والسجود، كنا عم نطلب هيك مثل إشارة سماوية وين بدنا نعمر لها كنيستها.
من 5 سنين بلشت القصة. مريم العذراء ظهرت على ماريا بنت 21 سنة المصابة بالسرطان. ماريا كانت على شفير الموت، لكن العذراء حملتها رسالة قبل وفاتها، هي بناء كنيسة للقديسة فيرونيكا بلبنان.
قررنا نعمل تساعية صلاة بآخرها، إذا ما بطريقة ما عرفنا وين، كنا طالعين عند غبطة البطرك ونطلب منه هو ينقي المكان. بآخر يوم من التساعية بيوصل لعنا 6 وجوزها بيقولوا لنا عم نفتش عليكم من فترة، لأنه مطلوب منا نعمر كنيسة للقديسة فيرونيكا جولياني بآخر يوم من التساعية. فلما سألناهم كيف مين طالب منكم، خبرونا خبرية فعلا سماوية. أنا رح بختصرها بدقيقة. بنتهم بعمر 21 سنة، طالبة جامعة من أشطر الطلاب بالجامعة، صوتها رائع، بتشترك ب3 كورال، بيصيبها سرطان بيزلعيمة بالأوتار الصوتية. بعد 20 يوم بالمستشفى بتعيط لأهلها، بتقلن الرب يسوع اختارني تكون نفس ضحية فيكتيم لتوبة الشبيبة والصبايا البعيد عن الله. رح اتعذب 15 شهر بهالآلام، وسنة الجاي نهار جمعة العظيمة رح موت. وهيك صار.
أندرينا كوزي والدة ماريا خبرتنا اللحظات الأخيرة اللي عاشتها بنتها.
هي كانت عم تحكيني أنجأ عم تقدر تحكي، لأن ما كانت تقدر تحكي وكتير كانت تعبانة. فجأة تبرم صوب الشمال وبتصير تهلل وتقول له يا حبيبي شو حلو، يا حبيبي شو بحبك، يا حياتي أنت، وتحكي بقوة مش طبيعية. يعني 9 أشهر هي قلبها محروق وريتها ما فيها تنام، ما فيها تنام، قاعدة لاقي عقيدة ليل نهار وما فيها تحكي. صرت اطلع انه بنتي جنيت، تقول لي إلا مع مين عم تحكي يا ماريا؟ تقول لي ولك شوفي قديش شو حلو، ما تزيح لعندي، ولك ما بقدر اوصف الجمال يا ماما. بالاخر كمشتها وخديتها، قلت لها ماريا مع مين عم تحكي؟ قالت لي ماما مع يسوع المسيح، منك شايفتيه؟ قلت لها لا ماني شايفته. برمت، لما قلت لها تاني مره برمت لعندي، بتقول لي ماما العذراء على يمينك واقفه حدك، منك شايفتيها؟ برمت، قلت لها ماني شايفتها. قلت لي ماما العذراء عم تطلع فيك وعم تحكي معك انت مش معي. قلت لها يا حياتي ماني شايفتها. قالت لي ماما العذراء عم تطلب منك تعمري كنيسه لقديسه فيرونيكا جولياني بلبنان، من 300 سنه بدها اياها. قلت لها انا بدي اعمل كنيسه؟ انا جوزي مريض 30 سنه، بيو مشلول 8 سنين بالفرشه، بيي كسر رقبته، مرت عمي كسره وركه، انا ما بشتغل، انا بخدم، ما عنا أرض. أنا تنزلت عن حصتي تما يصير في زعل بالعيال. قالت لي ماما أنا والعذراء شايفين أرض بانحدار وادي، تروحي عند جدي بيعطيك إياها تعمري الكنيسة.
وهيك صار. جدة لماريا قدم شقفة الأرض. إما وبيا قصدوا الأخ عمانوئيل. بلش تشييد أول كنيسة للقديسة فيرونيكا خارج إيطاليا، عنا هون بلبنان.
And that's what happened. They start building this church, and that's the time that I arrive in Lebanon. And my cousin on my first day in country says, hey, today we're going up to this town called Saibe. We're dedicating a church to Saint Veronica Giuliani. And, you know, my cousin was really involved in helping this church and helping Brother Emmanuel. And that's when I met Brother Emmanuel. So on the first day, we go up to this town, and I meet him and learn more about him. An amazing person. And so we're there for this dedication, and the bishops are there, and even though the church isn't complete, they're dedicating it to Saint Veronica Giuliani. We do a procession with the Blessed Mother through the town, and it's just amazing. You'll probably see some pictures. So that was my first experience with Saint Veronica Giuliani and Brother Emmanuel. So we go and we see this, we attend the dedication and the Mass and everything there. And so now the church at this point is, pretty much the foundation and the structure, the block work and things like that. And, the architects are now going, hey, Brother Emmanuel, what are you going to do, for the finish? What are you going to do for the interior? What's this church going to look like, outside, inside? All we have is a structure now. He's like, I don't know. I don't know. I have some ideas, but I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I'm waiting for some kind of sign for what I'm supposed to do with this church. And they're kind of pushing him, and he's like, under a lot of pressure. And so after the dedication, about a week and a half goes by, and Brother Emmanuel calls my cousin. And he says, hey, I need you to come up to our monastery here, and I need you to pick up the Saint Veronica statue that we got from Italy. And this is a statue that's over about 6 feet tall, beautiful statue. And he's like, we're taking her in about a week and a half or so, 2 weeks, up to a town called Miziara. Miziara is up in the north, and they're dedicating a church to Padre Pio in that town. And since Padre Pio loved Saint Veronica and loved her story and her saint, because she had the stigmata like he did, we're taking this saint there to the dedication over there for Padre Pio's church, and we're going to do procession through the town and all this stuff. So I need you to take the statue, and I need you to build kind of a holding, something that we can carry her through the town, where 8 men can carry the statue. So you need to build like a base for the statue that we can put her on and carry her through the town. So take the statue so you have all the measurements. So my cousin says, okay, we'll be there first thing in the morning. He calls me up. He says, hey, tomorrow morning, come early. We're going up to this monastery to get the statue. We're going to go see Brother Emmanuel. So next day we go. We get there, and Brother Emmanuel comes out and says, you guys are just in time. We're like, just in time for what? He's like, I just met someone who just got here a few minutes before you, and he has a little story to tell us, and we're going to be hearing it together for the first time. But I assure you it's going to be amazing. Okay, we go inside, we meet this person, and we meet a man named Rabia. Rabia is a man living in Nigeria, a Lebanese guy, living in Nigeria, working in Nigeria. And he begins to tell us his story. And pretty much 9 months ago, pretty much at the inception of when they started building this church in Lebanon, 9 months ago, he's praying, he prays the rosary daily. And he's praying the rosary, and he feels like, shortness of breath and just like almost lightheaded. And then all of a sudden, a lady, and he's telling us a beautiful lady, appears to him and tells him, I am Veronica. And he's like, Veronica, Veronica, who are you? She says, I'm Veronica Giuliani. I'm an Italian saint. And I want to show you a church, and I want you to pay close attention to everything you see, and you will know why at a later date. And he feels himself all of a sudden over Lebanon, over this church. He's seeing this church from the outside, almost hovering over the church. And then she takes him inside the church, and he begins in detail describing everything he saw in this church. And she tells him, this is this church they're building for me in Lebanon. And he begins to sit there while we're here with him. And Brother Emmanuel, he describes everything in the church, the altar, the confessional, the colors, where the statues are, where the Eucharist is, the tabernacle is, what's on the front door, what's on top of the church. He goes into great detail, and I actually start filming this. And I apologize for the quality of the video because I have the camera sideways. But I filmed about 15 minutes of him roughly telling this story. So here's a little clip, about a minute and a half or so of that conversation that I kind of just cut up and put little bits and pieces because we don't have time to show you the whole video, but it will be on the link that you can view later. But take a quick look.
بس حسيت كيف بدي اقول لك سلام غريب عجيب. ساعتها بتقلي انا فيرونيكا. قلنا مين يعني فيرونيكا؟ بتقلي انا ايطاليه فيرونيكا جولياني. وعم تخبرني انه انا كثير مبسوطه بلبنان لانه عم يعملوا لي اول كنيسه هون. هلا انا ما بعرف شيء عن الكنيسه ولا بعرف وين بتصير ولا شيء. ولا بعرف انه في كنيسه لها بلبنان. وصلنا للمطرح ما وصلتني شفت صليب كبير، يعني راس الكنيسة صليب كله صليب، جاي صليب مضوي هيك مضوي لون أبيض. طلعت قلت لها حلو كثير هيك، قلت لي بدنا نفوت لجوا، فوتتني نفوت بالبيت. هلا أنا بالديتايات أنا في قصص ما بنتبه لها، بس صارت هي تدلني عليها، هون تدلني هون تدلني هون هيك وتدلني حفظها. فتت على الكنيسة. هلا أول باب الكنيسة عم شوفه مثل شيء لبنان على خريطة لبنان. تفتح هذا الباب بيفتح هيك بهالطريقة أرزة. بقلب المسبح بيجي شكل هيك قلب، مثل هيك القلب يفتح هيدا الهون مثل كأنه جرم معمودية
بقلب المسبح
مثل جرم معمودية. وهيدا بيجي كملنا بتطلع شفت مثل عم بدلني هي عليهم يسوع، بس مش على صليب، مهديه زلمه ختيار. مبين انا عم شوفهم كانه حقيقه، يعني مش انه تماثيل.
هي هاي موجوده صوره الاب الازلي في يسوع في ايديه والحديث.
هلا بجيب لك صوره، بجيب لك كتاب معي.
انا معي صوره تقريبا قريبه.
مهدي حدا.
هلا انت لما تعمل هذا الصليب هيك، هلا يسوع هيدا القلب هون في 3 درجات، بتطلع درجة 2 3 توصل على تفتح هيدا مثل القلب هون. هيدا القلب هو بيت القربان. يفتح بيت القربان.
هلا بتشوف المهندسين صار لي فتره بقول له كيف بدها تضبط معنا انه القربان بده ينشال من القلب، كيف بدها تضبط معنا باي طريقه هندسيه
تضبط،
وتنقدر نحط القربان بالنص وما يعترضوا علينا، بده يكون عايزين يعني بده يكون له يا درجتين يا 3. عم ندرس الموضوع.
هلا انا لما كان عم يحكيني كنيسة فيرونيكا انا بدي اساعدك، صرت اضحك قلت له انه انا بدي شو بدي اساعدك، انه لا معي مصاري ولا قادر اساعدك بشيء. قلت لي انت رح تساعدني بكثير قصص، بكره بخبرك اياهم شوي شوي.
So this is the heavenly sign that Brother Emmanuel has been waiting for, to give him the details of how he's going to build this church and what's going to be the finished work of this church and what it's going to look like. And so this man comes and gives them all the details that they need. Just the miracles. I mean, Saint Veronica is building this church on her own. She's opening all the doors to make this happen. So Rabia, has his vision. He goes to his priest in Nigeria, Maronite priest, and he explains to him, what happened to him, how, the saint appeared to him and telling him the story, and he's pretty much laughed at. The priest kind of laughed at him and kind of brushed him off. And this is crazy and stuff like that. So he got very discouraged, and he never actually spoke of it again. The whole 9 months he never spoke of it again, and then he comes to Lebanon to visit family. As many Lebanese living abroad, they come usually every summer. So he comes to see his family in Lebanon, and there's a friend of his who's one of the people that's been helping with this with this church project. We're helping Brother Emmanuel. And so he tells him, hey, Rabia, what are you doing? Next week we're going to take the statue of Saint Veronica Giuliani to, and he goes, Saint who? Oh yeah, Saint Veronica Giuliani. We have a statue that came, they made in Italy. Saint Veronica Giuliani, it's an Italian saint. He's like, Saint Veronica Giuliani? He's like, yes. He's like, she appeared to me 9 months ago. And his friend was like, stop, I don't want to hear anymore. Gets on the phone. Emmanuel, I have somebody who says Saint Veronica. Stop, bring him here right at this. Puts him in a car, brings him there, and he shows up right when we showed up to pick up the statue, and we got to spend some time with him and hear this amazing story. So now they have, everything they need to move forward with the church, which is just amazing. I mean, I guess you'd have to have been there to it's amazing. So we end up, we finish the base for the statue, and we build the base for her to put on the back of a pickup truck to go kind of like in a convoy up to Miziara up in the north. And we go up there, and we have this mass in Project Pio's church, and we do a procession through this is an all-day event kind of thing. So the procession through the streets, and people are throwing roses and flowers from their balconies, and the people greet her, and just an amazing day. So this carries on into the night, and we do a procession through the streets to the main church. We have a rosary in the evening, and then this is about 2 o'clock in the morning now. And this is now my second to last day in Lebanon. This was Saturday, and I'm leaving Monday morning, which is actually Sunday, late evening, into Monday morning. So we're outside this church now. We just finished. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. Brother Emmanuel comes up to me and says, I'm making you the ambassador. Making you the ambassador to Saint Veronica Giuliani in the United States. And your mission is to help spread her word, help spread who she is, and help us to raise money into building and finishing this church here in Lebanon. And I was like, I feel kind of the weight on my shoulders all of a sudden. I'm like, you want me to? What am I supposed to do? What do you want me to do? What am I? I'm not sure exactly what I'm supposed to. How do I do this? And he's like, don't worry, just pray. Pray the Blessed Mother, pray to Jesus, pray to Saint Veronica Giuliani, and she'll open the doors for you. And she'll show you the way. And so I'm like, well, no, not just like that. I mean, help me here. So why don't you, and I take my camera, I'm like, why don't you say a few words, and I'll have it translated, but say a few words to help me, help me with this mission. So he said, sure, start filming. And this is what he said. أنا عم صور ساعة الوضع تبلش. يلا. ما يسلف يده على وجهه. أقلك شيل المي واشرب. ساعة البدرة تبلش. أنا عم صور. فيني؟ اخوتي الاحبه، نعمه كتير كبيره نالها لبنان انه يكون اول بلد بالعالم عم بيعمر كنيسه برات ايطاليا للقديسه فيرونيكا جولياني. القديسه اللي هي الراهبه الوحيده يلي حملت جروحات المسيح بتاريخ الكنيسه، وبين كل اللي حملوا جروحات المسيح هي الشخص الوحيد يلي بعد موتها بقيوا جروحات المسيح منطبعين بجسدها، وبقي جسدها مثل منه. القديسة يلي هي كانت شفيعة بادري بيو، وكان يسميها معلمته بالقداسة. القديسة يلي أحد أهم البابوات قال عنها أنه هي أكثر نفس مزينة بالنعم الفائقة الطبيعة بعد والدة الإله. القديسة يلي يسوع قال لها أنه أنت رح تبقي مش معروفة إلى الزمن الصعب بالكنيسة والبشرية. بالزمن الصعب بالكنيسة والبشرية لما رح يخف الإيمان وتخف المحبة، أنت رح تظهري، ومن خلال سيرة حياتك وشفاعتك والكتابات اللي كتبتها
بدك تساعدي الكنيسة وبدك تردي كتير ناس على الإيمان. يعني بدها تكون مثل فيرونيكا يلي مسحت وجه يسوع، بدها تمسح وجه الكنيسة بهالزمن. فنعمة كبيرة وشرف كبير للبنان إنه تكون هالقديسة تقريبا عم تنطلق منه. وأحد الكهنة الطليان بعيد القديسة قال للطليان إذا نحن الطليان ما رح نعرف قيمة هالقديسة هي رح تنتقل لبلد تاني وتبلش منه. فنحن هون بلبنان عملنا نعم كتير من قديسة فيرونيكا. حتى تكريس لبنان لقلب مريم يلي تم من سنتين على يد غبطة البطرك الراعي يلي قال عنه انه هو سبب صمود لبنان هلأ، هو بداية مسيرة خلاص لبنان. واذا لبنان هلأ باللي حواليه مرتاح وبسلام بفضل هالتكريس قديسة فيرونيكا لها يد كبيرة فيه. واهم لقاءين صاروا ببكركي لتقرير التقديس كانوا اثنيناتهم بعياد للقديسة فيرونيكا. وعملنا نعم كتير ايضا شفاءات بذخائر قديسة فيرونيكا. وهالكنيسة اللي عم نعمرها هدفها يصير فيها سجود متواصل مثل ما طلب البابا يوحنا بولس الثاني، سجود متواصل ليل نهار للإربان على نية خلاص النفوس وعلى نية لبنان والجيش اللبناني. ونحن بلشنا من مشي باتكال على القديسة وصار لنا سنة، يلي صار بسنة بغير مشاريع بده 2 و3 تيصير. العذراء عم تساعدنا والقديسة عم تساعدنا، وكل مين بيساعد هالكنيسة تتخلص وتهالصلاة تمشي بسرعة. وخاصة انه بدنا نعمل اذاعة اسمها اذاعة قلب مريم الطاهر تكون بشفاعة قديسة فيرونيكا مشان نعطي التعليم الصحيح. مش كل الاذاعات عم تعطي التعليم الصحيح، صاروا عم يعطوا منبر حر من كل واحد بيحكي اللي بيفكروا، ومشان نجيش الناس للصلاة والسجود على نية خلاص النفوس وعلى نية لبنان. فالله يبارككم، وإن شاء الله إذا حدا حابب يساعد هالكنيسة. القديسة شافت برؤية ناس قاعدين بقلب يسوع، يعني ربنا يسوع فرجاها برؤية قلبه قد جبل وناس فيه، وقال لها هودي الأشخاص هن يلي بالمستقبل رح يساهموا بأنه هالقديسة هيدي تنعرف بالعالم كله، رح يكون مسكنهم بالأبدية قلب الأقدس. وهون بختم وبقلكم ما تتأخروا ترجعوا على لبنان، لأنه أيام صعبة ناطرة البشرية، كتير صعبة، لأنه البشرية زادتها فوق الحدود بالخطية وخاصة بتشريع الخطية من قبل الحكومات. فكل البلدان اللي شرعت الخطية في إلها أساس كتير كبير. فإن شاء الله بيلهمكم كلكم ترجعوا على لبنان، حيث هالقديسة والعذراء مريم وقلب مريم عم بيحققوا انتصارات كتير. الله يبارككم.
Merci كتير.
ميرسي إلك.
I really wish you guys can meet him. He's an amazing person. You feel God's presence in him. You're just drawn to him. You just want to follow him everywhere. He's an amazing person. But I mean, we look at the story. We see heaven and earth interacting like I've never seen before, physically interacting. And you got 3 parts of the world. You have Emmanuel in Italy. You have Rabia in Nigeria. You have the girl in Lebanon with the cancer, and each story is playing out on its own, and they intersect to make this happen, to make this church happen. It's amazing how it's just happening, all around the world and just coming together like this. So the bottom line is we need your help. There's a lot of different ways. We have our short-term goals and our long-term goals. Short-term goal, obviously, is helping them build this church. So we need help financially. So, any way you can help financially, that would be greatly appreciated. There's some information at the end of this video on how you can help by check or by credit card. And then the long-term goal, the immediate and the long-term goal, is sharing Saint Veronica's message with the world. Help spread this video to everybody so we can spread her name, spread her message, and then bring her into your homes. Ask for her intercession. She's an untapped power source. Saint Veronica Giuliani, she's performing miracles in Lebanon. They're just amazing. If you just ask her, she's so willing to help. So I get back to the United States now, and obviously I'm very excited, and there's also this heavy weight on my shoulders, like what am I supposed to do? So I sit down with Father Tony, who's our priest at our church, at St. John Marin Church in Orange, and he hears the story. He's amazed. And he's like, yes, we have to do something. We have to help. And I was like, listen, Father, I can't, as an individual, let's say we did raise money and help them, with this church. I can't just go wire money to the Middle East without having the FBI and IRS all over me the next day. So, I need the church's help with this aspect. And Father thought about it, and he's like, we really can't act on our own for something outside of our diocese without the knowledge of the bishop. We need his approval and his, he'd have to say yes, pretty much. And I was a little discouraged because, how many people probably come to the bishop and say, hey, we need help? I'm sure he's inundated with requests. So I was like, well, what if he says no? What can I do? I can't do anything? He's like, well, no, because you'd have to, go open a nonprofit organization on your own, and which would take like a year. So that was just off the table. And I was like, okay, just ask the bishop. When you see him, let's see what he says. But I'll admit, I was discouraged. I actually called my cousin in Lebanon. I'm like, hey, look, this isn't as easy as you think it is. This is pretty difficult to make something like this happen here on our end. But the reply is always, don't worry, Saint Veronica Giuliani will take care of everything. And so Father Tony did meet with the bishop, and about a week later he calls me and he's like, you're going to be shocked, call me right away. So I call Father Tony and he's like, you're not going to believe this, but the bishop was born in Saibe. He was born in that town that they're building the church for Saint Veronica Giuliani, and that's his hometown. And not only that, he knows the woman whose daughter died of cancer and gave the land to build the church. So I was like, wow, I'm telling you, Saint Veronica is working on her own. She has her players in place from probably 300 years ago. It's just amazing. I was in shock. And not only that, he said, look, he pretty much gave us a green light, and he helped us open a DBA under one of their bank accounts, under the International Maronite Foundation. So they gave us a DBA, Saint Veronica Giuliani Fund. So we got green lighted, and I'm telling you, Saint Veronica, the Blessed Mother, Jesus are going to make this happen with or without us. But I feel like we're chosen to do this, to help them. And like Emmanuel said in just the video that you just watched from him, there's people in the heart of Jesus that Saint Veronica saw in a vision, who are the people chosen to help with this endeavor. And so it's going to happen on its own, but I'm really excited. We need your help. And please help spread this video, help spread this message, and let's work together on this. I'm really excited. God bless you. And I will say as the last thing, look, there's no glory. There's not going to be a plaque with people's names of who did what on this church. Everything is written on the heart of Jesus. And that's all I care about, and I hope that's all you guys care about. And let's work together on this. I'm really excited. God bless you.
ملاك الرب بشر مريم العذراء فحبلت من الروح